10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Complexities turn to ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Radiant team pick. Complexities turn to pick. Ten seconds remaining. Complexities turn to pick. Radiant team pick.
Everybody to some more Dota 2 action. This is Lyrical Dota, joined today by Lama Down Under. We're going to be taking a look at an absolutely fantabulous case. Sorry a little bit about those delays that were going on, sorting out everything that is all wonderful, but Complexity Gaming up against Digital Chaos. We're already into the draft, so we're going to be moving right on into it. This is an elimination mode. Llama, how are you feeling about these two games right here?
5 seconds remaining.
Dusk.
Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds.
Yeah, certainly.
remaining.
It seems like that is definitely a possibility. I mean, obviously, the hero who everybody talks about as being incredibly broken, while that is true, you always have to keep in mind as well individual player preferences. And if this is a hero that, while he could be completely and totally OP, do they actually run him all that often? This did end up being an IO banned out, as well as a Queen of Pain, Shadow Fiend Dazzle, and the Wind Ranger's not going to be joining us this game. Not really a whole heck of a lot of surprises here. We've seen a lot of these two teams in this tournament. I think that they know each other pretty well. Of course, yesterday Complexity was saying that they were feeling very confident about their chances at being able to beat on out Digital Chaos, and we'll see if they're going to be able to back on up their words here, as we do end up getting another Broodmother banned out.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Complexities turn to ban.
the secret doom. It's dooming you from the jungle. That's what's really going on here. Anyway, so Bane is also going to be taken out. Really excited
10
about this
seconds
one yet
remaining.
again, and I want to re-emphasize because that intro was a little bit clunky. This
5
is
seconds
again going to
remaining.
be the American lower bracket finals between Digital Chaos and Complexity. The winner
Reserve
of this
time.
will move on to face Root in the grand finals, which is going to take place tomorrow, and the winner of that's going to go on to the summit. The loser has to go on home feeling very, very frustrated with the lack of moving on into the later stages of this tournament. Lena also going to be taken out. Not really a
Complexity's
huge surprise
turn
there.
to
We've seen
pick.
the Lich be really prioritized by Complexity. In the last series between Complexity and Cloud9, they're actually taking Lich before Doom, I think, in one of the matches. It was very interesting.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Winter Wyvern.
Radiant team pick.
Yeah, I think that is both reasonable solutions. You think about the way that people tend to prioritize heroes,
Complexity's turn to
and
pick.
while sometimes you can, sort of go back to the same hero multiple times in a row. I think back to which team was it that I was thinking about? I think Cloud. Actually, it's Digital Chaos. Now that I'm remembering it. Aoi loves to play that Tusk, and he's on that almost all of the time. And Complexity as well. For instance, Vlad loves to play those defensive supports. But you certainly
10
have that
seconds
option to be
remaining.
able to rotate in and play other heroes that fit well
Radiant
better
team
with your
pick.
personality, depending on what that is. Darkseer is going to be picked up, as is the Gyrocopter, and this is going to lead into an Ember Spirit.
Complexity's
This
turn
could
to
be some
ban.
early aggression here coming out from Digital Chaos. Of course, you could also just see the Ember Spirit build on into the normal boots of travel that you end up seeing on that hero quite often. But if they wanted to, an early drums with the Ion Shell on top of them, Ember Spirit doles out a
10
lot of
seconds
damage.
remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Radiant team ban.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned also earlier the Bane pickup to be able to take advantage of really tearing apart those mobile heroes. Ember Spirit's certainly one of those. And I think that Bane does very well
10
against this
seconds
hero,
remaining.
at least in theory. Sometimes he can get shut down early, but he's always going to be able to have that Nightmare into Fiend Script
Complexity's
type of
turn to
situation.
pick.
We're also going to see, after the Ancient Apparition banned out, the Huskar, or not the Huskar, the Alchemist, but I said Huskar because that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's definitely a possibility. They do have, I mean, Doom is still there, and Tusk also does a bunch of physical damage as well, mainly just in that one salvo with the Walrus Punch. But a lot of the other members of this team are very heavily in the magical damage department. I still
10
think that they
seconds
can
remaining.
respond back with something if they did end up going for Huskar and
5
Complexity, but
seconds
it's got to be
remaining.
something that's in their mind right now.
Reserve time.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I think that the other thing is that if you doom the Huskar, that's leaving open one of these other high priority
10
targets,
seconds
and
remaining.
it would sort of pigeonholed the Doom into going for that
5
Aghanim
seconds
Scepter, I
remaining.
think, just to be able to break that Berserker's Blood,
Templar
which is still
Assassin.
fine. Okay, and we don't need to theory craft anymore about
Radiant
Huskars. We're not going to be
team
seeing it. It's going to be a Templar Assassin this game. Minus armor, abound, going to be able to tear on through that very, very nice and yummy Doom. And another thing that I'll mention here, Digital Chaos hasn't used any of their reserve time, so they can take a pretty long time thinking about this last pick if they want.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Mm-hmm.
Reserve time.
Does seem like it was 2 days ago, though. It's a lot of games that have been played recently. We do have a Venno as the last pick here. Cool. I don't think this is going to be an Ember Spirit support. I think I'm very confident in saying that. So we're probably going to be seeing this guy run all around. What do you think about Venno in that support role? Is this something that you like? Do you feel like he's a little bit too weak? What are your thoughts?
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Definitely, there's certainly the potential there for them to roam on around here. It doesn't look like we're going to be seeing a level 1 Roche, I don't believe, unless they're all going to run on down there right now. Looking instead like we're just going to be having the regular old dropping on down the ward, running away. He actually didn't drop the ward. That might have been a bit of a fake out. 2 wards still in his inventory. I think that what the plan was to get one of them down and then walk away with one still in his inventory so that way they could do sort of the double bluff. But enough about mind games. We're going to take a quick little look and introduce all these players. Zizzy is going to be playing on the gyrocopter up in the top lane. We have Chessie on that Templar Assassin. Vlad is going to be playing the big old ice bird thing, Winter Wyvern. It's actually a dragon. Swindles is going to be playing the Slardar. And last but not least, we got Z-Freak on that Lich.
Yeah, and on DC, we've got Tusk being played by Aoi 2000, Biru on the Venomancer, Doxy is going to be played by Bulba, our offlane specialist, Ember Spirit by Yawar, and who's rocking the Da Vinci tag. That's always fun. And TC on that Doom. Now, last set, I don't know how much you managed to catch. E-Wolves focused Yawar every single game. They 3-man ganked him constantly in mid, wanting to make sure he was on SF a few times as well, so that makes a lot of sense. Here, I wonder if Complexity will try to do something similar, dedicating a lot of resources to killing him, or whether instead we'll see the Z-Freak stacking Lich, which allows the early Ancient stack to be taken by Chessie on the... And actually, it's Chessie on the TA. That's interesting. They often run Swindle on it, because he's very comfortable with the hero, but of course Chessie can play it too, and... Swindle is trying to practice the offlane.
It seemed like they've been very comfortable switching around these roles, no matter where it's going to end up being. It does look like Vlad is going to be doing a little bit more roaming than he thought. Normally, if you see a Winter Wyvern moving around, he's going to be having that boots just because of the normal, not very good movement speed. I think that they might actually be able to get this one. 1, 2, can he find it? Yes, they do. Yeah. Nothing on it, but still not the best in the world.
It's a really common courier snipe. A little bit surprised that DC weren't concerned about it, but it's entirely possible they just haven't had it happen to them in a few games. It's something Root Gaming does every game when they get the Wyvern, and I know all these teams scrim each other, so a bit surprised by that, especially when Aoi, he's also a big courier killer himself.
Yeah, certainly. Interestingly, they've actually left Biryu here alone while Doom starts off in the jungle. Are we seeing a kill in mid here? Chessie might end up actually going down. 1, 2, that's going to end up being first blood. Yawar, not at all afraid, is going to be able to walk away from this one. Tried to dodge that last little projectile from the tower, not quite able to make it happen, but still, after the earlier courier snipe, has been able to make it happen. Munel top lane, they're on top of Vlad right now, but do need to run away. Aoi taking a lot of harassment here. Zizzy might be able to take him down if he's not careful. Still do have the, oh still running away. The Ion Shell, but Bulba had to use the Surge onto Aoi to make sure that he got out of there, and now in a little bit of trouble. Now he's going to be fine as he walks away. Ember Spirit denies himself the neutral creep in mid.
We've got some action. It looks like Biru is going to be the one. No, Swindle Melons, he tries to move around pathing, and now Z-Freak might be falling to the Scorched Earth. They managed to get a bit more damage on Biru. Swindle actually eats the melon. He needs one more auto attack. He's going to get it, but he may take some damage from TC. He'll just sprint it off. Game's a little action-packed for normally a more calm NA Dota. And in mid, are they doing it again? No, Chessie this time not too far up.
Yeah. Well, back and forth we go. This is the thing that's sort of tough about this matchup for Ember is you're going to be taking every little bit of damage that comes in from TA. Like sometimes, you know, if Alina is able to toss on out a few of those Dragon Slays or whatever, you can reduce them on down with the Flame Guard. But for Chessie, every little hit is going to be going on through and really tearing him apart. So you need to be careful in this lane. It's something where either side can find a kill very quickly. I think probably for Yawar, you're not going to be in trouble of getting killed unless you just sort of get a little bit outplayed in terms of positioning and that type of stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely... Oh, here comes the snowball and Chessie. He pops up the refractions, but the Searing Chains are going to be coming, but they didn't bring any protection. I think not expecting him to go Meld Strike so early. There are a number of players who don't pick it up until much later. So, well played there, Chessie, making sure to have that spell up. Yeah, this mid lane, it's very... It's a lane where they both kind of counter each other from the standpoint of Ember can't deal with physical damage, Chessie has a heap of that, and also then has the pure damage, of course, coming off of the side blades. At the same time, you shouldn't make the positioning mistake. These players very experienced, and Flame Guard burns down refraction instances.
Absolutely. It's always the deadly thing at that hero. We do see a stun down in bottom lane, making sure that Z-Freak doesn't end up getting chased out of there. Both of these heroes have pretty good movement speed, though. You know, Lich, that's something that is pretty nice little part of his kit, I feel like, is 315, relatively high compared to some of the other supports that you see. Mid lane, I think we'll be able to find Da Vinci here, taking a lot of damage. Yawar needs to be careful, but we'll be able to bottle up through all of it, and it's going to end up being fine.
Yeah, the TP rotation unfortunately not making anything latch, but Swindle going in for a kill on bottom. Can they catch out Biru? They need to get in range for the Slithering Crush, and Biru is just not letting them, but there's the Frost, and they're just going to auto-attack him down. So a nice kind of long kill there. And Z-Freak already having a grand old time eating catapults, as a Lich does. I kind of wonder where those go, but not important.
And just to go inside of him. Anyways, by recap, looking like a nice little 400 gold swing as well as 230 experience. Yeah, who needs to crush the people? Just save up that mana, use it for next time. If you can get away with it, why not? Z-Freak does end up breaking his clarity, unfortunately. But I'm really surprised with how much Swindle's been able to get in this bottom lane here. I mean, you think about a Doom normally being able to own a lane, but with the help of the Lich there, you know, sacrificing out those creeps, the equilibrium is always in their favor. Also, they've consistently had this ward off in the bottom lane to make sure that they were able to not have any pull action come through, and now Slardar, this off lane in the duel with the Lich, has been able to get up to the second highest in net worth and pushing Doom 800 gold below him. It's been a really great game so far for Swindle.
Yeah, and you can definitely make the argument that Complexity working their way towards winning 2 out of the 3 lanes. It does feel like they're having a rough time in mid. Obviously, that first kill, we can still see its effects. Oh, we have a snowball up top going onto Zizzy. Can the Wyvern save him here? Even with a Splinter Blast, will it be enough? They've got the slow and Bulba getting body blocked, but now it might be Vlad who's, lucky timing on when that ended, and Vlad manages to get away. Although that was probably all skill. I was just going to say, I think they've also done a really good job, even though the lane top is a bit scary with the Ion Shell and the everything that comes out of Aoi on that Tusk, they're still getting heaps of farm on Zizzy. So I think we can argue that Complexity winning 2 out of the 3 lanes right now.
Honestly, Vlad is just too good. He's on these defensive supports. He knows exactly what he needs to do. The fact that he didn't actually end up skilling Cold Embrace and is comfortable just maxing out that Splinter Blast first to make sure that he has the extra bonus damage, as well as the, the slow doesn't end up going up at all, but the damage is going to at least negate off the feelings that they can go for that type of kill diving under tower. Because if you think about, if the Tusk and the Darkseer are that far under tower and you get any TP rotations, after you take that big nuke coming in from the Winter Wyvern, as well as the rocket barrage that's there, they could definitely be close to going down. And perfectly aware of exactly what he needs his hero to do. I've really enjoyed watching Vlad play here.
He's certainly showing us that I think he has like 7,500 matchmaking points or something ridiculous. So, always good to see that the matchmaking is backed up by something. Looking at these two lineups, something that I'm really interested in, I often try to look at like who goes later or whatever, but the lineups are kind of weird for this in that Doom can arguably delete one, maybe even two people if we get into late game. Ember's a great carry. TA can certainly carry relatively hard. And the Gyro with the 6 shots of flat cannon every 30 seconds, I feel like they're almost even.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I am always going to say that I think that the Winter Wyvern is going to be like the X factor in the late game. Chessie taking a lot of damage here is going to be able to keep Yawar back for now at least. Might opt to go for this one. The chains are going to connect and Chessie's having to back out. I think that Wyvern is just always going to be this hero that's the X factor because one Winter's Curse turns around the entire dynamic of the game. Of course, if Doom is able to get on top of her, that changes things completely and totally if you get doomed on up. Darkseer, another one of those heroes, but it's not somebody that is going to be able to sort of while the vacuum wall is great, you really need more damage to follow that back up, and Ember Spirit is that damage that's there, but again it's still somewhat a little bit finicky to me, whereas the long cast range coming out from the Winter Wyvern ulti means that you're almost always going to be able to get it off as long as your positioning is good.
It does feel like if these teams go head to head 5v5, we'll see a couple of team fights where maybe everybody dies, because there is on the lineup of DC a lot of things that kill you after maybe your opponents are dead. So they might be able to kill them. Oh, we have an engagement in the mid lane. It looks like we've got a very dead Vlad just going down, gets Searing Chains, and now they might be able to get more, but Chessie has a haste. So TC not going to be able to make the Doom latch. I was going to say, I feel like with stuff like the Poison Nova and Doom, Complexity might be able to kill DC, but then you all die in return. As this goes later. So it's going to be really interesting to see if they try to take 5v5, because they do have a good thing going with the vacuum into potentially a Venom Scale or a Battle Fury Sleight of Fist. How long it's going to take to be able to get those combos up, you probably need to blink, whether Complexity's positioning will be making that happen.
It feels like it's probably going to go to sort of a mid-game battle, and whoever ends up winning that one, if somebody wins a fight really convincingly, which certainly can happen as we see Yawar take a lot of damage in mid, trying to man-fight Chessie there, it's sort of a situation where game can tilt very heavily one way or the other. And if you get a couple of these very large items up on any of these heroes here, maybe you end up getting a blink up on Doom before you're able to get those same mobility items up on Complexity, your game is going to turn around completely, or a relatively early timing on a Battle Fury, and then you can kind of just snowball from there.
Yeah. Now they do have, we were talking blinks, I feel like they do have a small issue on Complexity. Other than the Winter's Curse, it's going to get really difficult to lock down the Ember Spirit. While they do have Slithering Crush, the cost point on Remnant is instant, right? In mid, it looks like we have more action. What is Ember Spirit doing? Not quite able to seal the deal on Z-Freak and move speed. At the same time, top, we've got a cooldown, we've got a Doom, we got Bulba going down anyway. And we've got some illusions that need to be killed. Oh goodness, too much action in all of the lanes, but yeah, manages to get a 3-man turnaround. So fantastic job for the lineup of Complexity, who I think, especially given that Bulba actually dropped the wall there, thought they were gone. Oh, he has no points in vacuum yet, because he's just level 6.
Yeah, that's too bad. I think also Complexity kind of knew that they were hanging around here. If you were looking at the map movement, pretty much throughout that entire period of time after the original gank happened, where Chessie was able to get away with the Invis rune, as we do see a little bit more action over here by the Ancients, they're going to be able to catch on out onto Yawar. This is going to end up being maybe another kill to get there in time. He's slowed on up, so his remnants aren't doing anything at all. There's the Winter's Curse committed as well. 1, 2, 3. He does end up falling. His illusions can't do anything. But what I was saying again is that they were roaming on in that area, in the enemy jungle, for a long time. So Complexity had a good amount of time to be able to react to all of that, and I didn't really think that fight was going to go super well for DC.
Yeah, it's something where I like that Bulba skilled the wall early. I think it's fantastic. Unfortunately, you do kind of need a point in vacuum to usually make it work, because you need to get people through that wall for the damage, but unfortunate. And something you touched on there, a lot of folks don't realize how good items like Atos, how good heroes like Lich are against the Ember, because they do slow down your move speed. Your Remnant only moves at your speed, and that's why Yawar couldn't use it to escape there. which is really always a cool interaction to see. I don't think we'll see any Atos picker-uppers here, but you never know. And in mid. Okay, they're just kind of touching. Oh no, the Searing Chains actually latch on Chessie. I think if Yawar had, I don't think he thought they would hit because there were actually a lot of creeps around.
RNG, it's too good. Yeah, I think that's going to be something to keep in mind. Is in the early game at least, Yawar has been using his remnants, not really like throwing one out all the time. He needs to be keeping them back preemptively, I think, because if he's gonna wait until the gank ends up coming, then he's just gonna end up dying because there's so many slows on the side. You think about the Winter Wyvern, the TA, you've got Lich as well, and it's just you're not going to be able to make your way out of there. So, oh my goodness, I missed another kill. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am sorry. Swindles is tearing people apart with the Blink Dagger reveal, and he's able to take on out that Venomancer up here in the top rune. Not going to be able to find out the Lich, so you are a little bit sad.
Yeah, and I think it's something to be said for Swindle. He got a really early blink. We touched on this already in the laning phase where Swindle, he's still actually top of the net worth. Really interesting to see a Slaughter here, and I wonder if just because he is doing so well, we see a lot of Slaughters go blink forced off, so they can kind of blink in, get the Slithering Crush on, and get out. But I don't know whether maybe he thinks I'm super far ahead, I can go something a bit greedier. But either way, we will see. Doom working on his Midas, still rocking a Mango. I always love to see that. And Zizzy building up a drums. So I also wonder this game, BKB is kind of a funny item for both lineups. Gyrocopter does a lot of magical damage, but then of course Templar Assassin is pretty much all physical, and Winter's Curse, you can Winter's Curse someone who is BKB'd. And then for DC, yeah, Venom's all magical, and so is Darkseer, but then Doom is gonna go through your BKB, and Ember Spirit's gonna be dishing out physical at some point. So I kind of wonder if we'll see those maybe a bit later in the game.
Yeah, certainly. Oh, down here bottom, we're going to see complete and total devastation as I just find the end of that one. That's how quickly these things can happen. Swindle just jumps on in, able to get a 1-2 quick kill on top of that Veno yet again. Food for this fish. That's what's going to be this Venomancer, and he's going to feel comfortable just coming on in here and right-clicking down Roche a little bit. I don't think that he was actually going to go in all the way, but I don't know. I feel like Complexity are just looking so good in this game. The Templar Assassin has opted to go for Blink Dagger after or before Desolator. So this tells me, along with the drums build coming out from the Gyro, they want to try and be mobile and take their advantage early with the Slardar having the Blink Dagger as well. Take a couple of fights, make sure that they're able to, take advantage of this, because the Deso is something that allows you, I think, to farm a little bit quicker, probably. I guess the movement speed might help. What are your thoughts on Blink versus Deso?
I think you have to go. I'm also really surprised by this. I think you should generally go. The accepted build recently has been Deso. Deso has been picked up a lot more than Blink first item based on stats, and it helps you do an early Roshan. Now with Slaughter around, you can certainly get this anyway with the amp damage. Chessie, I don't believe, can solo this with just Meld Strike, so Swindle needs to come and blink on in, but they are... Biru is keeping an eye out, and yeah, so Swindle's probably going to join him, and then this should make it a lot faster. Deso also just way more damage output, as you pointed to. Maybe just for the early aggression? I'm not quite sure I like it. Either way, we'll see, and it's not like a Blink or the Deso really tanks you up a lot. So, oh gosh, I think they have some sort of idea, but will they be too late? Yeah, they're taking way too long to get their heads over.
I think also maybe it's a little bit of a sneak factor here with taking Roche a little bit earlier, since they do have the Slardar. They think about a normal timing that a TA would be able to take Roche on. Might be a little bit later than this with the Deso coming a little bit later. But the fact that you're able to get the quick Blink Dagger and then afterwards blink on into Roche, maybe that's a part of it as well. Regardless, I have a feeling that we're going to start to see at least maybe groups of 2 or 3 with the Gyro still farming, or maybe just a straight up 5-man on down towards the mid lane. Regardless, we're seeing at least 4, and we do have the Gyrocopter off to the side now, ready to TP on in should things start to really pop off in the mid lane.
Yeah, I think another reason, as you mentioned, that they went for the drums. It's also good to have 1 Aquila, 1 drums in your team, but it does feel like Complexity saying, hey, we've hit a good place where we can fight before our opponents can, before we have to worry too much about Ember's damage output or the Veno having a lot of levels, having that Poison Nova. Let's do it. And I like this type of style. I wonder if they'll be able to catch any fish bigger than Owie in this mid lane, who is now super easy to gank. Yeah, he's gonna go down, used all of his spells, Slithering Crush comes out, and the Meld doing almost half of his damage. That was fun, but I mean, you kind of want something bigger. They should be able to exchange it from mid tower. I don't know how happy Complexity will be just with mid tower. They're getting damage on bottom too.
Yeah, they're sort of pressuring all over the lane. Complexity are just looking really good right now. You look at the net worth; it's 5K already.
Top
experience as well. They're going to be able to find fun out Ember yet again, but I don't think that they find this kill unless they bring over a couple more, which does look like they want to do. Winter Wyvern and Lich are here. We have TPs on the Gyrocopter down the bottom lane, but they're going to let them go away for now as Ember ends up remnanting on back towards that mid tier 1. So I was just talking about how Complexity were looking pretty good, and now they're sort of sack a tower and aren't able to take the one in the mid lane. But that's fine.
Yeah, they were hoping, I think, for a kill up there. Vlad, unfortunately, not quite in position. They might be able to kill off Owie again on bottom, or at the very least secure this tower. TP status for the rest of DC. Okay, looking like it's fine. And actually, Vlad's first item on Doom, so he also wants to enable his team to fight early. There are a bunch of different Doom builds, as we've been over, and I think Vlad's is one of those kind of, I'm going to be tanky, I'm going to have extra armor, and you're going to come at me and fail.
Yeah, Doom is just, he's such a bastard.
He's pretty big right now. Like, the hero, he got some nerfs, and everybody's like, why are you nerfing the hero? Oh, Swindle Melon's going in again. Can he kill off TC? Oh, goodness, Jesse comes in, and that is a... I mean, okay, it's like a quarter of a shot. He did a quarter of his health with one shot, but still, that's like, this is a TA without a deso.
I think that was the last remnant of his DD that he had right there, because he had it as he blinked on up. I don't know if he got the shot off before the DD expired, but yeah, DD up on the TA as well as just all of that minus armor. You're not going to survive that in game. So the Vlad's did end up getting on up to him. Unfortunately, not going to be able to make the most of it. Looks like Darkseer's going to try and keep on pushing out these lanes. That's the flip side of what DC's draft is bringing, is they're incredibly hard to take down these towers. Like, the Veno wards are not easy to fight into and burst down. So they can hold the lanes relatively effectively with both Darkseer as well as Veno, at least in the early stages of the game. As it goes a little bit later, Ion Shell matters a little bit less, I feel like, just because the lanes can get pushed out by your opponent so easily. And also Veno wards, while they're still good, can kind of get torn apart as well. So I like the ability to de-push right now. I'm wondering how well they're really going to be able to scale super late, though.
What starts to become huge is the Replicants. Oh, we have an engagement. They've got the haste up on Chessie. Biru is down, and no more Veno wards going to be stopping their push in this mid lane anymore. What I was going to say is I think the difference between the two teams with scaling, Veno ends up, you buy the Aghanims and you stay relevant for a really long time, and then it does matter whether Complexity gets BKBs. It's something where, as we talked about, like, you might kill off the Veno, but you might still die depending on what poison types you have on you. And there is a Doom out onto Vlad. This is a bird that never gets a break, but will TC be punished for his positioning? Zizzy is coming in, but suddenly they don't want to go on it. Z-Freak is trying to get out. Gyrocopter's all alone using his rocket barrage, and the cooldown has completely whiffed. He's back and back, thrown through a wall, but here comes the Lich Ult, and it bounces between the illusions. Now going back on Vlad, he looks like he's in a spot of trouble, drops the Winter's Curse to make sure he gets out, but where's their damage output? There it is. There is Chessie. A rocket lands on TC. Can Chessie do anything? He's got an illusion, and there is the venomous Gale that we had talked so much about. Vlad just immediately TPing out. He wants nothing to do with this, and Chessie and Swindle gonna take down the respective two heroes around. Yeah,
oh my god, that was looking
mess.
Great. I mean, you got the Veno ulti down on top of the Winter Wyvern, but then you just TP on out of there. There isn't any follow. Like, if you get any of those spells, it could have gone so well for DC, because the whole time that fight was there, Swindles and Chessie were down in the bottom lane trying to take on out the Ember, and then Ember ends up coming onto the mid lane. He gets taken out. It's just bad.
Yeah, I think it was a really nice attempt on Biru to try to come in and get off that venomous Gale, but they it's not really it's a counter to it in a way. Just Vlad immediately TPing out. He's like, I don't have time for this. I'm out, guys. I'm not going to go down. On the flip side, a lot of space has been made for Ember Spirit. He's got his bots up. He's got an Aquila, a bottle. He's going to be working towards that Battle Fury. He has died a few times, but now, because of these other engagements, he's having some space made for him.
Yeah, he did end up dying. He's died 3 times so far in this game. 100 last hits at 20 minutes isn't absolutely terrible, but it's feeling like it's a very difficult game. With this lineup that you've got for Complexity, You have a lot of you don't scale as well. Gyrocopter just now going on back for that Sanjin Yasha, but they've been able to build on up a huge net worth lead. We're sitting at 10k roughly at 20 minutes with 12,000 experience as well. Swindles already has his BKB as well as his Blink Dagger. This is looking like a safe lane Slardar to a certain extent.
Yeah.
On Templar Assassin, you've already got your Desolator trying to build into a BKB for her as well, I'm assuming, after this. Lich has his Force Staff. They're going to have all the mobility that they need in the world, and Winter Wyvern and another 600 gold is going to get a Glimmer Cape. We do have a 3-4-man smoke actually on into the mid lane. They're going to be able to find out the Lich. There's a lot of hate to be thrown the way of the Iceman, and everybody else is just going to walk away from this one.
Yeah, it looks like they got a couple TP rotations. Not decided if they're taking the tower, but Chessie, he's got a blink. He could jump in. He'd be jumping into a lot of them, and the cooldown completely with TC, though, taking a lot of damage from that Desolator. Ice Shards come out, and Chessie may have been in the wrong part of town. Takes a Doom, takes a Gale as well, and it looks like Yawar gets out. All of them pulled through the wall. Chessie, Walrus Punched Up, finally dies to that Doom. At the same time, they had picked up Doom, and there is Swindle in the backlines, killing off people. The Venomonster trying to get away, and let's see if there can be any sort of help. Actually, Swindle's BKB is going to come off cooldown, and he misses the Slithering Crush. Searing Chain Flash, he just immediately goes for the TP out, but the Snowball stops it. There's the Cold Embrace. Can Swindle get out in any way, shape, or form? It looks like he is most certainly dead, and the Walrus Punch stopping the Slithering Crush. That was kind of his only hope. So, a nice turnaround for DC.
Yeah, that was a really good team fight. Well, that was a really bad team fight for Complexity to be taking. I think that you just kind of leave it alone afterwards for the Lich. You don't have him in that team fight. It ends up being a 3,300 gold swing, right around 4,000 experience as well. Like, you're looking at this team fight that started off with your Lich getting picked off, and then you jump in with your Templar Assassin. Great, that's fine. But everything was just leveled at her right at the start. You end up getting doomed. Now a lot of your damage source isn't there. Your control isn't going to be there either. So it felt a little bit like they wanted to not let that pick-off happen and make something of it when they weren't in a position to be able to do that, essentially. So 11k net worth on the Templar Assassin. Even after that fight, Slardar is sitting second at the highest. Is there anything in particular that you're looking for in the next couple of minutes that seems like it's going to be a game changer? Maybe a Tusk picking up his next item, or is it just something where you want to farm, wait for the next Roshan potentially if you're Complexity?
I think Complexity is going to wait for the Roshan. We've seen them play before. They're very reserved. I think disciplined is the right word here, especially when you look at DC's lineup. We already talked about it, but running into a Vacuum Wall, Ember Spirit, and Venomous Gale and Poison Nova, that's not a fun lineup to push into. So I think they would rather have BKBs and an Aegis up, but they're looking for a quick, easy pick-off, trying to see if anybody's going to come defend that tower, and it may be Aoi 2000 who is the one to go down. But first they're going to run into TC. There's the Slithering Crush, there's the slow, and TC melts, and Aoi's actually still in a bad spot. He should be able to walk away.
Yeah, no more Blink Dagger up on these heroes at this point in time, but looks like they are feeling confident going forward, feeling like that last team fight might have been a bit of a fluke and are just going to keep the pressure coming. I guess this makes sense. You've still got all of these drum auras, and you've got early mobility with the Force Staff. You're going to be able to get people out of here, and the 5-man Dota is starting to really come into full effect. TP's up to the top lane, want to make sure that you don't end up losing a tower for absolutely nothing, and then the rest of Complexity are going to roam on over into the mid, push out the lane, feel comfortable with that, hopefully catch themselves a nice little Yawar, who is going to be building on into a Battle Fury next, and he's actually really close to it.
Yeah, he's average time this match is 25 minutes, but despite having there was a lot of space, I feel, after a couple of those deaths, still seems to be having a bit of a rough time. The other thing I want to mention for Complexity, and you can't underemphasize this enough, although as Biru, Swindlemelon's trying to do something there, he's going to get doomed through the BKB, but can the rest of his team take advantage of the Doom being expended? No, it looks like they're leaving him, they're coming in, but Swindles, he's taking ages to die, and can they do anything? In comes Chessie and TC regretting being there. The Poison Nova comes out, and Bulba, he gets a wall vacuum onto 2, but I don't think it's enough, and one more hit will kill him off. Let's see if they can find any more members of DC. Biru taking a fall here, and he melted. We've got backline action as well. Aoi managing to kill off Z-Freak with the help of Yawar, and I think those two will escape cleanly, but what a messy, again, it's just very scrappy.
Very, very scrappy. It doesn't feel like there's like a clear point of access for any of these fights, as we end up seeing Yawar get a couple more right clicks here. He's going to be fine just running it away from this one, but Oh, all right. Snowball back in, maybe again. This is what I'm talking about. You run on in and you jump on top of the Ember Spirit, but then you go back in a second time with Aoi afterwards, and it doesn't feel like there's cohesion or like a singular game plan. Several different people from both sides wanting to just kind of do their own thing and go crazy with it, which, I mean, it's working out for complexity. DC is kind of digging themselves into a bit of a hole at this point, as we do see complexity get a little bit lucky. A nice Roshan timer means that they're all going to come back and take this one again. Complexity are in the driver's seat here with their 3 cores very firmly on top of DC's 3 cores.
And part of the issue being that because Swindle has gotten so much farm, when you're a Doom, you of course want to Doom the most impactful target, and here you're having to make a really rough decision. If you Doom Zizzy, you stop pretty much all of his damage output at this point, but then Swindle is going to come in, slithering, crush your face, Chessie's going to do a lot of damage. As you said, 3 targets, it's rough as a Doom. The other thing I don't want to underestimate is Chessie's on a Templar Assassin. A lot of vision spells were nerfed last patch, things like the Thunderstrike from Disruptor, Bounty Hunter's Track. TA's wards, the traps, still see as much as they used to. That's what actually, when they were pushing top, I think most teams would have maybe backed and checked Roche, just because it was, Roche could be up, it was kind of that 9, it was like 8.5 minutes, maybe you give it a check. They don't need to. So they can really tailor, okay, we can push until we know this thing is up, which is certainly an advantage. Map vision always super powerful.
And I mean, you take a look real quickly at Complexity's map vision. They have vision of absolutely everything. And seeing nobody from DC means that they're feeling, well, now they see everybody from DC. They knew where they were going to be, which is just in this area of the map. Now they see them up top here. They feel comfortable farming out the entire enemy jungle. Just making very good decisions based upon all the information that they have. They feel comfortable with this lineup. I think the way that it's been able to sort of execute effectively, and they're taking full advantage of pretty much the entire map in terms of the resources and farm that they have.
We've also got some interesting pickups. I'm a bit surprised Aoi decided to go the Solar Crest over the Blink Dagger. It certainly could have been a case of he found it easier to build up the pots, but I think the Blink Dagger, you can actually save people from... There are 2 ways. It's hard to do both of these, but you can save them from the Winter's Curse by snowballing over them when they're Winter's Curse and just putting people in your snowball so they don't attack. You can also blink next to someone who's attacking your Winter's Curse unit and just put them in the snowball, but that one's a little bit harder to pull off. You have to know the AoEs perfectly. Both of these easier to do with a blink, so I'm a little bit surprised that Aoi didn't go for one, but I guess it makes sense against a slaughter. You want to put the Solar Crest on someone, or you want to deal with the Lich Armor by Solar Cresting it.
Well, also, I think that it means that maybe you don't get one shot by the TA potentially. You get a little bit more armor that's coming out. You still are probably not going to be surviving too long if TA is just hitting away at you, but all of these heroes have a lot of damage that's coming out physical, and you need to be able to have some armor for that, and also be able to give it to your team is the other aspect. I mean, the active is great, but also just the extra armor for the Tusk helps a lot, I think. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's going to mean... It's been more often than not that DC have been the ones getting initiated on, at least at first, and then DC have to respond. And so considering that's what it's been, and there's going to be this vision advantage constantly by Complexity, maybe just the ability to stay alive a little bit longer is what they're looking for in this game. And, you know, they don't necessarily...
Oh, bottom.
Are they going to be able to find him there?
No.
Snowball and forward?
Not quite.
Okay.
Full stalls, too strong. TC may actually go... Okay, there's the Glimmer Cape. He would have gotten the Doom off if not for those meddling Glimmer Capes giving people invisibility.
I feel like I'm in the Scooby-Doo episode. This is awesome.
It happens to the best of us. But yeah, we do finally have the Battle Fury up on Yurwar, and he actually went for a Blink Dagger. I like it. It's gonna help.
Mid lane, Chessie's going to end up getting caught out here. Aoi's in the area. The nice little crush, though. Swindle catching 2. Vacuum all on back, though. This could end up being disastrous. We do end up getting the Aegis pop. Now Swindle trying to run away, thinking about going back in. Does end up popping out another little vision tool there with the amp damage. And Bulba's just going to run away, leaving Chessie alone for now. Do they reinitiate off to the side? Oh, get out of here, Fight Recap. I don't want to see you anymore. All right, yeah, Beer, you're just going to drop on out another ward, keeping that vision and backing on out. Complexity are content with the 1 pickoff on the Doom there.
On the downside for Complexity, they blew 2 BKBs. They're not going to have them from this tower push, but it's really low. They just need, like 1 hit from Chessie. So I don't know if they'll go high ground without the Aegis. They might decide to push another tier 2. It's kind of sketchy when your BKBs are down. And as you said, it actually was a really good, like, 3-man Slithering Crush, sure. Chessie was out of position. They managed to take some advantage of it, burning the Aegis. I think if not for the Aegis, they would have said very much worth it. And maybe even now, because they burnt that Aegis. Oh no, it was actually only a minute away from expiring. It's not the bestest.
Yeah, it's really not. But that's fine. It's all good. Anything I think at this point for DC where they're able to trade something for something else is a win. Like if you have that Aegis, even in that extra minute, maybe you go high ground as complexity. So to me, I feel like any amount of time to be able to sort of extend this game is what DC are looking for. And they're actually going to do a 3-man smoke now. That was right under ward vision. This ward that was about to expire. So I don't see complexity getting caught out by this unless they were up on the high ground and I just didn't quite see it.
They're smoked themselves, so I think they saw it. They know where they're going and they're trying to do the wrap.
All right, we're going to see it. This is going to be another messy engagement here. I think that they find Yawar. They do have this trap right over here. Not going to catch with the crush. They thought he was going to be farming the map. Nice Chain's going to connect there as well. Blocking off from the rest of the team. This actually could be a bit... Oh, God. They have the Winter's Curse back up, though. I'll spread out at the last second before they end up getting taken out there. Doom on top of Chessie. BKBs are popped. Not going to be taking too much more damage. There's the vacuum wall onto 3. The crush is going to catch onto Bulba. The Lich is going to start to bounce around as well off to the side there. I think that they're going to be able to take them all down, though. Lots of damage coming out with the call down. Da Vinci, is he going to be able to run it away? He does make his way out of there. Only the Darkseer falling at this point. Ali does eventually fall as well, and leaving them alone. TP's out. Very, very strange little engagement.
100%. These teams are also going for more. Yawar, where is his other remnant? I'm not 100% sure where it is on the map. It's up apparently, but they have the amp damage on him. They can see him. He expends another one. Lich has a 4-star. They need just a few more auto attacks. He gets the searing chains, and they're not able to catch him, but here comes Zizzy, and Zizzy doesn't care. If you searing chains up his allies, he's gonna get you. And yeah, just a nice little chase. That's another thing that's really hard. If you're an Ember Spirit against a Spirit Breaker, if you're against a Slaughter, just having that constant vision on you can be a real pain. And it's sometimes why we see the Manta instead on Ember, but he went for the Blink as his kind of defensive item. So
that's really too bad. He looked at how that engagement went also. He had the Remnant back up over in this area, but he didn't realize that the rest of the team was still over there. And so when he remnanted back, like if he remnanted it down and away instead, and then afterwards did the sleight of fist into Blink, he might have been able to get out. But he was going for what he thought was the safer play, which was just remnanting away. And unfortunately, that was right on into the waiting hands of the Lich. So very unfortunate, does end up getting taken out. DC looking like they're in a really big goal right now. 20,000 net worth lead for complexity, as well as right around getting close to that 30k experience mark.
Now, this could just be DC things. In the game they played earlier today against E-Wolves, they were this far behind. They did lose the first match, but then they came back to take the next two in great fashion. So maybe it's just their warm-up, you know? They're testing the waters against complexity.
Or likewise as well, it could be that they've already had to play a best of 3 today so far and are feeling a little bit of fatigued and will rally for the second one, sort of like in an epic movie of sports domination. It does look like TC get a little rocket placed on him, and more complexity are feeling quite bold in going for these types of moves. I mean, you look at them, there's no fear. They're in the enemy jungle just walking around, and why should they be? I think that DC are doing about the best thing that they can by pushing on out this top lane. We do end up getting a TP on in now. Zizzy is going to end up getting caught up by the chains while they get the bottom tier 2 tower. Tosses out a rocket and still sticking around in the enemy jungle. They're thinking about going for more, but I think that really, again, it's just going to be Roshan that they're waiting for.
Yeah, and I know he has a remnant out. Okay, there's another one. With the Venom wards as well, it becomes very hard to actually spot the remnant when I'm trying to find all of them, but that's not too important. I do think high ground defense for the lineup of DC, they definitely need an Aegis on complexity. There might be one. Actually, the respawn timer should be showing us. Yeah, it's another short one. So complexity can make sure that they take that. I don't think there's any way DC can kind of sneak this. They might be able to fight in the Roche pit. They certainly have fantastic AoE, but it's kind of a dangerous spot. It'll be great if DC can initiate there, and they do have the Blink Dagger up on Darkseer to do it. It's still really scary. If they lose in that Roche pit, they're probably losing Arax.
Yeah, you want to be able to go for this type of play. It's one of those things where if you don't go for it, then you basically lose the game. Oh, there's the Blink Fort. It's going to be able to catch Z-Freak here. Does end up popping on out another little Chain Frost. I think that he gets away, though, with the rest of his team. Oh, God, you need to be careful, buddy. Can he get out of here? Another little Chains. Does have a Blink Dagger in a second and is going to pop away. not wanting to potentially get picked off there, as he does end up remnant on back to the cliff, and he's going to be all fine and dandy.
Yeah, and nice little remnant to make sure that they have some idea of what's going on. I have to say I'm impressed with the wards coming out of DC. Even though they're far behind, making sure to have wards up in their opponent's jungle, they'd also been warding that spot quite frequently. They've got good map coverage, and they have a good idea of where their opponents are, and Ember playing very conservatively, which I have to say I like at this point, right? You're not at the point where you need to go full rapier. You can still play a little conservatively, make sure you get some crit up and do a good amount of damage.
Unfortunately, we're taking a look now. Roshan's going to end up getting taken out, just very, very swiftly destroyed. I think, obviously the vision there by DC was pretty good. I don't know if they go and contest that, if they know about it. They have done a really good job of trying to deny them the vision on that whole side of the map.
Wyvern has a gem, has had one since, I think, 10 minutes ago, maybe even.
Right.
Actually, we can check on the clock. But basically, Wyvern's had one for quite a bit, and that's why I'm still really impressed by DC's wards.
Yeah.
Because, when you're playing up against a Wyvern who can get no pulsing, or can get flying vision and so on, with flapping around, and you actually having wards up is impressive.
Yeah, certainly. All right, well, TA building on into a Basher, it looks like, next. That's kind of an interesting one. Chessie known for going for these somewhat unconventional builds. I think it makes a lot of sense. That Abyssal is just so strong in terms of what it's able to do, but not an item that you always see on the TA. Well,
yeah, Chessie loves Abyssal. It really is just a Chessie item. He goes the Abyssal, he goes the Manta on heroes that you're maybe not expecting, and it's just Chessie things.
Absolutely. All right. How do we get back into this game if we are DC? First of all, I think being able to wait on out the Aegis and keep Ember Spirit alive. It looks like Doom is going for either a Shiva's here or an AC. Do you have a personal preference between those two?
It's rough because you really do need both, and you need maybe even... Oh, goodness, we have a gank on bottom. It looks like Swindle... How did he kill off Doxy? It doesn't matter. Swindle's going to go down now. His team isn't quite close enough. Let's see if he can wander away. He does have cheese he could eat, but here comes Doom, and he immediately dooms up Zizzy. Will it be enough damage? Swindle eats the cheese. There's going to be a rocket flying up, but that's a BKB Doom, and that BKB is long enough that it's not really going to bother him. They've saved Swindle, though, and he's back up at full health. At the same time, we have an engagement in the jungle. They're trying to find out Owie. Z-Freak is wandering around, Sigil slowing him up, but here comes Chessie, the raid boss we all know and love, and just, inevitably going to two-shot Owie. Has to wait out the snowball, and Owie will be going down here, so they get 2 heroes for complexity, and now looking ready. I think one step, unfortunately, not getting ganked. The other one is, as you said, waiting out the Aegis. They also need to wait for smokes to be back in stock for DC. They're out of them. Their high ground defense is fantastic, but of course you need the Doxia there. And yeah, look at how confident Zizzy is without the Doxia.
Certainly, and I mean, honestly, we talked about it earlier as well, the way that these supports end up working for DC. They don't have the ability to push out lanes as effectively as you would like. While a Venomancer is great for being able to defend high ground, it's really good if you get the wards up, and they haven't been able to have those wards consistently up. And it's kind of the same way as a Techies works, where, all right, we're going to end up getting into a big engagement here in a second. We have chains down on top of several heroes. There's going to be a level death onto Swindle, catching with the big amp damage there. They're going to be able to take on Outball so quickly. And now TC soon to fall as well. This is looking relatively close to GG. Chessie dropping low, does still have the Aegis. 2 minutes before that's reclaimed, is just going to run right in and be able to pop it. Now they're going to need to stick around, keep their buddy alive. Swindle is dropping low as well. There's the blink out. Does end up running into the shards. Owie, can he find anything else here? No, not going to be able to, as we do see, well, maybe a reinitiation in a second here. Watch out, they hit a crush. Owie 2000 is dropping low. A big Ember Spirit. Sleight of Fist going to connect. Swindle is dropping low with the Doom on top of him. Oh, look at that bash proc right there. Get owned TC. A couple of remnants. Look at all of the damage. There's going to be the vacuum wall. It looks like Complexity might actually be in trouble now. With the Aegis already popped, we do see the call down finally finish him off. The Frost Blast from the Lich is going to kill off the Doom. Remnant away. Swindle's not quite able to hit there. There's the Courier going down. Everybody wanted to get into the fight for DC. And finally, Complexity look like they have stepped away from this one a little bit, the victors, with the buyback on the Darkseer. Dieback, I should say. Still, the key thing, both barracks are gone at this point in time.
Yeah, but racks are down. Chessie is just walking into their base, having a blast. Another thing to mention is the Winter's Curse that stopped Bulba from getting off. I think Bulba The Winter's Curse stopped him from getting off the wall that he wanted exactly. I'm not quite sure if Bulba also didn't shift queue it up or something, but it was definitely, it could have been a beautiful vacuum wall combo, because he got something like 4 or 5 heroes, or only 4, but then no follow-up, and so he had to buy back, use the wall, maybe not being as advantageous. And the fact that Chessie is getting these 10% bashes, a bit silly, but either way, they're in a dominant position with a lane of racks down, and even though Zizzy died, they actually had quite a few people from Complexity die. I think you're happy with that. You know, the Ember Spirit, he's rocking a lot of gold, actually, but he has to save some of that for buyback.
Yeah, and talking about gold, it's 30,000 at this point. That's the net worth lead. Experience is 40,000. I don't actually think I've seen an advantage this big in Dota before. It's kind of ridiculous. I think the other thing, I was talking about it before the big fight actually started, popping off there. With the Venomancer, the ability to hold high ground really depends upon you being able to have those wards out and be in position at the start, because if you have to start placing them out in the middle of the fight, it's not going to be enough. Do you think that Chessie can, two-shot this Ember here? He's going back on in.
Yeah, if he finds him, Chessie can certainly do some good work. Oh, he uses the Abyssal 3-shot, apparently, but it's gonna be close. You were almost right. Yeah.
That's the Abyssal. Oh my god. I feel like he might even need, he's been forced into this damage build because he needs to be able to hold out and just sort of dole out as much damage as possible. But the problem is this means he has no survivability items right now. He has a Blink, he has a Battle Fury, he has Boots of Travel. The most defensive item he has is a wand. It's just doesn't have necessarily the survivability stuff. You'd love to see something like a Lincoln's on him.
There's a couple of different, there are a couple of different Ember builds. I think he didn't want to go the Lincolns here because he was thinking there are some small things like the amp damage with a super short cooldown, which pop it. Unfortunately, it might have been what gave him just the second of time to get the Remnant away. And of course, now with the Abyssal coming out, part of that is Chessie goes the Abyssal because he's like, you didn't go the Lincolns. But it's a really hard call because the Monta here doesn't save you from the Winter's Curse. The Lincolns that we talked about, there's amp damage and BKB. A crap ton of this stuff goes through BKB. So he was really in a pickle when it came to defense. And I think Gloss Cannon, we got a Slithering Crush. TC managing to pop his BKB. He goes down anyway. There's a wall vacuum combo. They managed to get off the Poison Nova. Owie looks like he's going to die anyway, and now it's taking a lot of damage on the lineup of Uriwar. We've got a buyback from TC. Can he kill off anybody here? But Da Vinci, he's being chased down. Swindle Melons, he's doomed up and he doesn't care. He's gonna fall down here. And now Zizzy, he's caught out a little bit in no man's land, slowly falling to that Venomous Gale. He's gonna go down. Poison Nova, Venomous Gale doing mad work in these team fights, and Vlad, they lost the gem! Vlad's gonna fall as well. So a really fantastic hold from the lineup of DC. They did lose a Rax, but they've gotten a lot out of that, and it's gonna be hard to say exactly how much, because of course Fight Recap doesn't include the gem, although, as you said, one of the biggest leads we've ever seen. Yeah, I haven't actually seen one above 30,000 before.
I mean, this is a pretty big comeback, though. Even though they ended up having 2 buybacks in that fight, they still get a 6,000 gold swing, as well as 13,000 experience, which is absolutely ridiculous. So that's definitely the biggest swing that I've seen there. They're going to be able to actually start tearing this down. Do they have buyback? All right, we have buyback on the TA as well as the Slardar.
Yeah, we've moved through. We've a lot of buybacks. They're fine. Wow, how do they know how? Wow, Owie's good at Dota. I'm really impressed.
Yeah,
I feel like you have to know, right? They analyze their own replays. They can probably feel exactly how far ahead they are. But well played, Owie. He should go on the Price is Right.
Absolutely. All right, Darkseer has a refresher that hasn't been revealed yet. They're pushing on down this barracks, and it looks like Complexity don't actually want to buy back here. They want to be able to save it. They're all going to be back up in time. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to get the tier 3. But we talk about insurmountable leads. We're not really taking this one too seriously, the comeback that happened by DC, but maybe we should be. It's a situation where, given how much of a lead they had, the comeback in terms of experience, the comeback in terms of gold, you now have the double crit up on the Ember Spirit, refresher on the Darkseer that hasn't been revealed. There's a possibility here for the comeback. It's very, very low, but there's a possibility.
I have to say I really like this on Yawar. It's putting a lot of faith into Bulba, but I think Bulba's been showing in these last few engagements that he will get the vacuum off on 4 heroes, and Complexity has been a bit lax in their positioning. And of course the double crit better when you know that you have someone who can group them up, because it checks 1 crit, and if it fails on the first, then it checks the second. So you are going to crit more likely, and because they're grouped up, that's going to be better. It also is something where this goes super late and he does rely on, like, he does trust Bulba, then you get a second Battle Fury. But that's all maybe a moot point as they are running down, lines all over the map with the Aegis. And for this hold to work, we've got a smoke. I don't know, DC has to do wonders here, like they just did, and Zizzy might actually be the one who goes down. He is out in no man's land. His team is trying to wrap around on the bottom, and are we going to be seeing Chessie doing some work? He's got up a Lincoln Sphere. One of his teammates has thrown that on him. How kind. And we maybe see the start of the engagement. The Doom isn't going to come out. Chessie is doomed up. We've got the Poison Nova coming out as well, but the Lich ulti, the Ember Spirit's already dead, and he doesn't have buyback. And now we've got the refresher from Bulba, but the Doom is down. No buyback as well. Will Bulba be able to hold this all by himself? And Chessie's like, you doom me, I buy back. That's totally fine. I'll buy bots too as well. And it looks like this game is over despite the nice hold. And GG's are told. Oh yeah, there goes Bulba. Oh, he dies. But, you know, it was really beautiful. He did a really good vacuum.
He did do a really beautiful vacuum. They weren't expecting it. Actually, they probably saw the refresher there at the end. Well, what a start to this one. Complexity out to a very, very early lead and just able to sort of snowball from there. We're going to be coming back in just a second or two. Stay tuned for Game 2 in this lower bracket finals to see who goes on to play Root for the one spot out of the Americas into the Summit 4. So see you guys in just a second.